in the Seagram's block of Oshawa, Ontario. I'm an idol.
Don't be scared, homie. Come on. Okay, first of all, the world is smiling at you. The wrestling business is smiling at you. And don't you frown back on it.
Surprise, surprise, motherfucker. The king is back.
The man the hour, the man with the power. Too sweet to be sour.
Dylan Bowker.
All right, this is a bit of a co-feature here between Bouts Talking Bouts and Liberty Music. I am talking to tastemaker, hip-hop musician, battle rap OG. I've got Ooh No on the line. How's it going, Lush?
Man, keeping it active, bro. You feel me? Like, it's all about momentum.
Yeah, and you certainly have been keeping it active with the music there lately. So how's that all been going? I saw you were shooting a video there. Ooh, you were getting a video shoot going on there?
Yeah. That's for my brother Bobby Bucher's upcoming album, which is which is going to be really dope. And as one of the songs I'm one of just like 2 or 3 features on the project, so we're really excited for that. That's one of 5 projects coming out on our label 667 Records in the next 2 months. So we're staying real busy.
No, that's dope, man. I was noticing Chopper Red is out now, and yeah, like you were saying, Chase Moore just dropping all that fire there, and you on there, Immaculate, Satire. So looks like a big project. Must have been fun to work on it to see it, come to fruition with all this, eh?
Yeah, no, it really was. Like literally, I feel like this music saved all of our lives while simultaneously pushing us to the brink of our limits as artists and as people. So it was really cool. But for me, it was coming on the tail end of my brother Cadillac Ron passing away last year. So it was a rough time, and immersing myself in this music was very cathartic and was very helpful of transcending that experience and trying to make some sense of it and create some beauty out of this tragedy.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. And R.I.P. Caddy Ron there. But that's really the power of music. I think that speaks volumes because it's a cathartic sort of enterprise, not just for the listeners, but really for the people who are creating it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes both ways. We as the musicians and as the creative individuals are just as in debt to the people listening as they are to us. It's a two-way street, 100%. And we would not exist if it wasn't for y'all. And we would have, it's like it'd be like painting the roof of the Sistine Chapel for a blind man. You know what I mean? Like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
We're here to make a connection with people.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And speaking to, Caddy Ron and everything, that it still seems like you're pretty tight with Lil Caddy there. So that's probably, something that, maybe not brings closure to it, but brings some degree of comfort, being still involved with the family and the Caddy legacy overall.
Well, again, that's another example of it being a mutually beneficial situation in a two-way street, because
totally.
as much as he needs that positive male influence in his life, and as much as he needs me, I need him as well. And it's been great for both of us.
Yeah, and just like such a long history with Caddy specifically. I mean, Machina Muerte, that gang is still going on with like Plex Rock and all that. So just a great legacy coming from that as well. How do past projects inform what you're doing now with your music, if at all? Do you just keep building and learning sort of thing?
Good question. Yeah, it's one thing is you kind of, it's good because you see what works, you know what I mean? Like, and you also see what doesn't work. And that's one of the good things about, being a veteran in the game and having that longevity is you actually have the liberty to see what doesn't work. One thing I'll say that I really enjoy about music, and I think oftentimes gets lost in the modern era of hip hop music, is the beauty and joy of collaboration. And like with other genres of music, you can't make a song if you don't have the drummer, you don't have a bassist, you don't have a guitar player. The band's not there. In hip hop, people, you kind of have a little bit of freedom because you're able to to do things on your own. You're not reliant on other musicians as much. But when you do actually work with these other people, the ideas that come from it and just the overall output of the art that comes from those collaborations, I find to be far superior. So me working so close with my bros like Chase Moore and Bobby Bucher and everybody else, Immaculate Fredo and all them, it really it's like all of us interacting like a band, and it's forcing the best styles out of all of us. And one thing I'll say for sure from our upcoming projects that we're all putting out is everybody that listens to it is going to have a different favorite MC, and depending upon your individual sensibilities and your taste, that's going to determine which style you're rocking with, which I think is cool.
No, absolutely. A lot of great points made there, but you're talking about some of the people you worked with in the past. And yeah, I mean, you're really kind of all over the place. And as far as like beat taste and even location as well, I mean, like Matthew Houston from Cleveland, DeAce from Texas, like a lot of people you've got to work with over the years. And it just, yeah, it informs everything. It becomes this like all encompassing sort of a thing in as far as how you approach music.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And I like to be different from the other people within my field and my specific genre, which, I'm well aware that people look at me as typically, associated with the battle rap genre, even musically, you know what I mean? It's the underground hip hop genre. So for me, I always like to go against the grain. So I'll do things I'll experiment with styles and sounds that a lot of people in my field not only won't even traverse those waters, but they're not even capable of indulging in those type of sounds that I do. So it's like I like to keep it funky and keep it original over everything else.
Yeah, and I think I saw an interview you did where you're talking about your dream musical collaboration, and you kind of had some interesting answers there. You're talking about you'd like to work with the Neptunes, but also you mentioned Clam's Casino as well. So I think that shows just a multiplicity to what you really dig with beat selection and just creating songs in general.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, Clams, to this day, I feel like me and Clams would make a masterpiece. And I'm influenced by a lot of artists outside the genre of hip hop. As much as I listen to what's current and what's going on now, I really like to just music affects everybody and moves everybody in different ways, and I like to create a unique experience, which I feel like I was fortunate enough to have growing up.
I was noticing for White Lies there, like the video been getting a lot of great reaction and everything, but it didn't really seem like a track you were, wanting to put out maybe as a lead single initially. Obviously you were going to put it out, but maybe not as like the front runner type of track. So what's it been like to see all the great response from a track that you weren't thinking would be that sort of lead off single?
Well, to keep it honest with you, bro, we just, I popped the ecstasy pill. I didn't even tell Chase and Bobby that I was on it. You feel me? That I was like, I really wanted to just go in. I wanted to just be in the mode of what somebody who's partying is like when they hear a song as I'm creating it. So like, they didn't even know. I show up at the studio, I'm smacked. I'm like, we need to make music right now.
Yeah.
And we had that song done within an hour and a half. They didn't even realize I was smacked until damn near we're finished recording it. And like, it turned out, I knew it was special when we were making it. Literally, like, it was it wasn't even, it was my first take. Like, I rapped the whole song all the way through from the very beginning. And like, we used the majority of that take for what you hear today, the final version of it. And, it just came out really, really naturally. As far as like, I knew that the song was going to polarize my core audience, who tends to have a little bit more eccentric and underground and abstract sensibilities. This being more of a mainstream record, which, if you know anything about me, I love pop music, and I'm heavily influenced by pop music, and that's a lot of the music that I like, although I'm kind of varied with my interests as well. But I was like, I knew that song was going to be big, but I didn't want to give the wrong idea, and I didn't want people to think that the rest of the project was going to sound that poppy and commercial. But when we leaked it, on the preview for the King of the Dot World Domination event, the reaction was so extreme and people were so into it that it kind of forced our hand into making it the lead single, because it was already getting traction and attention just based off of snippets that songs were getting in their complete form. So we're like, fuck it, let's drop it on them. I feel like it's cool. I know that there's nobody really else coming from the battle scene that has records that are getting played on mainstream radio, records that are getting played in strip clubs and environments like that. So it's cool to have that. But also, there's a lot more depth and substance on the overall album that I don't want people to get twisted and think that it all sounds like that. But really, also, people I feel like are, because it's so bouncy and such a fun record, people don't realize that White Lies has actually got a pretty deep message to it as well.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you were talking about all the coverage it's getting, 90.5 KSJS, for instance, seems to have it in, pretty solid rotation there. But I also thought it was cool when you were posting about a certain fan dropping a copy of an album you put out over 10 years ago and we're getting you to sign it there. And that must have been a cool experience, though, just being able to, reflect on past projects you've done, but all the while still endeavoring to do something new.
No, that makes it all worthwhile when you have supporters that understand your message enough to rock with you for over a decade, especially an artist like me that's constantly undergoing stylistic changes and resurrections and rebirths and stuff. So, sometimes people get lost along the way. So to have fans that have been down, have seen the vision and have stuck it through with me this whole time, it makes me want to give it another 10, 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it, for sure. It's that's the powerful thing about making music and just being a fan of music. But speaking to the battle rap side there, I mean, just what a legacy you've had in battle rap, like all the stuff that happened in Grind Time, obviously your prolific position there and all that, and it's leading up to what we have now with, Joseph Kahn, the movie Bodied coming out. It seems like battle rap has maybe more mainstream popularity than it ever has before, at least this style of it. I mean, 8 Mile, obviously, with like the open beats sort of a thing, but now with like the acapella battle rap, I feel like it's popping more than ever.
No, it definitely is. And it's so crazy to see the different ways that it's growing. Normally what would typically happen, those of us that have been deeply involved in the culture for a couple decades now have seen the ebb and flow and the popularity come in and out for battle rap. But what's unique about this time is normally what will happen is there'll be some outside mainstream entities that'll come in and try to invest and try to blow it up, and it'll fall flat. And then they'll pretty much just, run back to their burrows to hide. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean New York burrows. I mean like burrows in the desert. You feel me? Like wombat snake and shit. But,
yeah.
But really, like, this time what happened was, it was just a continued interest, and like it's still rising. And even when the corporate entities come and some of them inevitably fail with their endeavors, they're still sticking it out and still trying to see this go on. So, like you said, now you got Eminem and Joseph Kahn with a film featuring all of us in it, which is helping to mainstream the battle rap movement. Then you got there's that big ass show on TV that's got all the celebrities battle rapping each other and all that shit. So it's like there's Wildin' Out as well. There's multiple shows on TV focused on battle rap. So it's pretty crazy what's going on right now, and it's exciting. And I feel like this is now somewhat the payoff for all of us who have been deeply entrenched in this for a long time with no real light at the end of the tunnel. Now I think we're starting to see the light.
Yeah, a bit of a progression from when you battled unorthodox phrases there, eh?
Yeah, we're allowed inside venues now. It's crazy.
No, I thought it was interesting though, just the psychology going into that whole thing. Because you were talking about, I'm just gonna freestyle, and then you actually came with like a pre-written sort of approach. So, what is your perspective of like the psychology of battle rap? Like, how do you approach like the mental warfare aspect? I mean, aside from just that one aforementioned example.
Well, I think it's the most important and overlooked aspect of battle rap is the whole the chess player, the strategist aspect of it all. It's so imperative that that's where I would say 98% of all battles are won and lost. I could normally determine the winner of a battle just based on their interactions with each other, the two opponents, weeks, days, or hours leading up to the battle, and how and just the energy, just the aura surrounding them when they shake each other's hand. You could just read so much of the subtleties and the body language and things like that. You know what I mean? It all comes down to preparation, the angles you choose, the approach. It's kind of like it's like being a boxer. You could be an incredible boxer, but if you have no defense, somebody who hits significantly less hard than you will knock you out if you have no defense. So you need to strategize, and it's imperative to the art form at this point.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I was wondering about your perspective on this, because I'm noticing in hip hop nowadays there's a bit more with like of a globalization kind of feel, almost like something with ASAP Mob is doing. Like it's not necessarily like relegated to one area or town or anything like that. Do you see the merit in that, or do you feel like we're losing something a bit with the whole, like repping your hood, talking about localized experiences over beats?
I feel like regionalism is very important for hip hop, because I feel like hip hop is a voice for the urban communities of every single area in the world, of every nook and cranny, every neighborhood, and the eccentricities and the stylistic differences and the slang and just the different means of expression that individuals have in these areas are reflected so well through hip hop culture. So I think it's important for people to maintain their regional identities, but at the same time, I think it's important that that's not a point of division. That should be a point of people getting to know and understand each other's areas and cultures and scenes, as opposed to, this is us, party over here, fuck you over there. No, that's not what I
yeah.
That's not what I mean. It should be everybody learning and growing from each other based on these differences and eccentricities that vary region to region. So I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword, to answer your question.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I was just wondering, because it seems like you rep local in a lot of your different like postings and certain social interactions and stuff like that. I mean, you spoke at Burbank City Council. You talked about development on First Street there, so you definitely care about the community, your surroundings, and all that.
Absolutely, 1,000%. You know what I mean? And like you could hear me touch in on that in my music constantly, and I feel like it is important because that's it's where we're from defines so much about us, but then again, a lot of us transcend our environments as well. So it's not to pigeonhole us, but I do feel like like where we're from is a part of our story, and it's important to be told. And hip hop is literally the ideal tool because it deals directly with communication on a colloquial street level. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is how the people of this area talk to each other, and I feel like to be a voice of West Los Angeles, of the West Coast in general, like is an honor and a responsibility, and I will continue to push that line. But at the same time, it's dope to be able to take it worldwide and to have people everywhere understand your message. You know what I mean? Not just the people in your hood.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally get what you're saying there, but it seems like there's been a lot of outlets nowadays that are really like trying to create their own niche sort of thing in that sense. Like BOTZ, I think, is doing a great job at getting their own unique identity out there and popping off, but also Ruin Your Day doing some really great sort of stuff there. And it seems like your appearances on the Watch series, it seems like a really great outlet for you, just like a lot of like real tangible enthusiasm, knowledge of hip hop and battle culture in general. So how is that for you as an outlet, and how has that been to be a part of all that?
Well, Avocado is a good friend of mine, Kyle Gray. I feel like he's the most important contributor in battle rap culture history, honestly, at this point. I feel like it's safe to say that what he's brought to the game as a director, as an editor, and literally just like a cinematic auteur in the realm of battle rap is unparalleled. And so anytime and him being a good friend of mine, anytime that he he asked me to work with him in any capacity. It's a no-brainer. Everything that we've ever done together has been wildly successful. It's an honor to work with him. It was so cool to get him to, to offer to direct the White Lies video and to be involved in that. And he's going to be directing a lot more videos for the Non-Perishables 4 project, which is really exciting. But yeah, just the watch thing, it turned out to be ideal, like an ideal platform for someone like me to do what I do, which is pretty much talk about hip hop 24/7 and the obscure, intricate references that are made in battles and songs that get lost on the general public are things that fascinate me. So to get to have a platform to get to discuss all that in a fun and humorous way with friends is pretty much a dream come true. And the fact that people like it so much is awesome.
Yeah, and you talk about the cinematic side of what Avocado's doing there. I mean, your family definitely with the deep history in the film world there, so you definitely know what you're talking about there. But you've been really great with your time, man. Is there anything you wanted to add as we're wrapping up here?
Nah, man, I appreciate you. This is a dope interview. You definitely did your due diligence. I just want everybody to continue to rock with the Fresh Coast movement and pay attention to the 667 Cult and all of the music we're putting out and all the battles we got coming up. And it's an honor and a privilege to rock with all y'all. Y'all are dope as fuck. Shouts to all my jits.
Yeah, and everybody should be checking out the music going forward and keeping up to date on that. But again, great interview there with Lush One. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, man.
Thanks. Appreciate you, man. And let me know when this is online so I can blast it everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll link you up and tag you on all the relevant social media there, man. For sure.
All right, brother. Much love.